So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start out with a 10-inch rod. I have that 10-inch rod cut in 3 different pieces: the cap, the section in the middle, and then the body on the bottom. And then we will turn it into looking something like this. This is the 2-piece template. 2-piece meaning a 2-piece cap. This is the body, the lower part of the pen. The section is going to go in here. This is a tapered inside cap. This is the finial cap right here. This is what goes on. The clip will go in here. We will turn a piece of wood down. Once we make that blank, it's going to go like this. This will go on here, and then that will go over the blank like that. Just a generic way of describing it. This is another version of what that would look like when you see it from the outside. This is the cap here. This is the segmented piece of wood. It would be the finial. It's tapered here on the inside. This is where the nib would go inside that groove. And then this right here, although this is for a solid piece here on top, it would work something along those lines, except that finial would screw in on top. And of course you see the threads right there from where this screws on over the body. So the first thing that we will do, I like to start with the cap. So we're going to take the cap here. We will put this inside the 4-jaw chuck, square up the end. Using the parting tool, I'm going to square this end up. Next step, I'm going to drill to this mark right here, 1/2-inch drill bit. Now I have a 33/64. We're going to drill to that line. Now this is the tricky part. I'm using a 3/8-inch drill bit. I'm going in 2 1/4 inches. That is from here to that point down there. In here are threads. So 3/8 is larger diameter than the hole that I'm going to be drilling from the other end going this way, where I'm going to be tapping. I'm going to be using an 11/32 drill bit going in the other direction. So when this bottoms out, where that is, right on that line right there. And I have a little jig that sort of breaks that down. So that line goes right to that point, to that second line. So that's how deep I'm going to go inside there. Even though that looks like a really long depth that we're going to be drilling, in reality we're already over 1 inch on the inside. So we're only going to be drilling 1 inch into the Ebonite to get to this point. Before I get too carried away, the next step, we are going to thread this with the 14mm double start tap and die. So what I want to do is I want to mark this right here. This portion of the 4-jaw chuck is the number one jaw chuck, number 1 jaw. So I want to mark that right here so that when I come back and pull this out and have to put it back in, I'm going to be looking for this mark. That way I can make sure to always get it back in the same spot when I put it back in here. Just something I like to do. And before I take this out, let's tap that out. Like I said, I'm going to be using a double start tap and die. So the reason I use a double start tap and die when it comes to a segmented pen, not all segmented pens require a double start. Some can do a triple start. But if there's a pattern and you want the pattern to line up correctly, like on my Eddie Van Halen pens or my Nakashima pens or whatever, you want those to line up every time you cap that one way or the other. You don't want it to be kiltered off a little bit, so I want to keep that in line. So this is Ebonite. Doesn't really need it, but I'm starting to use more of this just for the sake of, because I have it. It's just mineral oil. So I'm going to locking this from turning, but the tailstock can still slide back and forth when I'm turning this right here. And I want to put on a glove because it's easier to grab this. It doesn't hurt your hands. Oops, I didn't tighten that down very good. Okay, that's tight now. I'm going down about 1/2 inch. You can see that mark there all the way around. I just want to chamfer the inside of that real quick. Okay, now that we have that off, one thing I forgot to do was I need to put this on the outside of here and then re-tap that again with a little bit of tension on that so I can make sure I get nice deep threads. And that's the other reason why I put that mark there for the number 1, so that when I put it back on here, like I said, it goes right back in the same spot. So all it's doing is recutting those threads and making them a little bit deeper so that when I do the body, it actually goes on a lot easier. The threads won't fight. Very easy. A little extra step makes it a lot better for the customer. And you can see how much we got off there just by doing that. So the reason I'm doing that is because when I do that first, those threads are unsupported, or the body is unsupported on the outside. So what happens is when that die or the tap on the inside is actually causing that to expand and contract, so it's not getting a really good tight cut all the way around. Put this on there and it keeps it from expanding in and out. That makes sense, I hope. So let me know what you think in the comments about that, but it's something I've been doing for a while. It's really helped me out a lot and makes the body to the cap fit a lot better. So now we need to cut this to length. These I cut generically for one length, and you know, if it's going to be a one-piece or a two-piece cap, I just use the same length on the actual Ebonite itself for the cap, and then I'll trim it down to the amount that I need. So I will just mark that like so, and then we'll just trim that off. I'm just going to be using a thin parting tool. This is a homemade tool I made from an old handsaw. I just cut this, turn the handle, cut a slit, put it in there, a couple of wood screws or drywall screws, nothing fancy. The wood is Goncolo Avs, very similar to Cocobolo. I've had this thing for, I don't know, a decade or something. Thing is great. I can go out and buy one, but I had the old handsaw that was actually my grandfather's. It was rusted out, really terrible. And anyway, made my own tool out of it. Made some real nice card scrapers for wood too as well. You can find those handsaws at swap meets for probably $2. So rather than going out and spending $30 or $40 for a tool like this, make your own. I forgot to start the video here, so from this point, I cut this off and then I drilled a hole with an 11/32 right there like that. And that is the length that we need right there. So now we need to tap those threads on the inside. We're going to use our section thread tap to do that. So in my little section threads box, we are going to be using this right here. It was a 10 by 0.75 for Ebonite. So just want to lock that in place. We're going to go down about 1/2 inch. One more step. I've got a 1/2 inch router bit, a carbide router bit. Although this isn't woodworking, the carbide router bit you can use on Ebonite, no problem. You can even use it on metal, no problem. But anyway, carbide, I've got that little line right there, makes a great cut. This cut here is going to be for our clip. All right, that looks really good so far. So the next part that we're going to do is we're going to do this end cap like this. So I've got a small chunk of Ebonite right here. What I'm going to do is chuck one end in here first. This is going to be for our finial for the top, but I need to dimple or add a dimple one side. We'll flip that over. So what we're going to do is, going back to our section threads right here, the 10 by 0.75, I'm taking my caliper and I'm measuring that. That I'm going to turn down to this diameter right here. And then we're going to use the die to cut those threads. Floating die holder I'm going to use next. This has an M2 taper which goes into the tailstock. The numbers that you see on the die match the tap, 10 by 0.75, and then you keep the numbers facing out or towards you. It's tapered on the front right here so that this actually cuts correctly. So with this, I am going this direction, and with this one I'm going that direction. I'm pulling towards me with this one 3 times, and then I'm releasing the threads so that it releases that inside the die and then recuts again. 3, release, back, pull, release. Let's just do that one more time. Make sure that is cutting all the way flush. There, now I'm touching it. Coming back to the thin parting tool, I want to just level this out or drop it down below the threads. I have a 9/32 drill bit, and I want to go down about half that distance right there. So the reason I put that hole there is just for a safety reason on the inside, in case the nib sticks out too far on the inside, it won't get crushed by a flat finial right here. So it's a little hollow, just for precaution's sake. So now I can, with this right here, that dimple we put on the back end, this is my mandrel. This is for the cap on one side, and on this side, this is for the body. And over here, this is for the section. This is homemade, this is Ebonite. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this down to size. Now see, I have this groove right here. That is for number 1. So that when I put this in here, I can tighten that up on number 1. And then this will be in alignment. So this is the dimpled end right here. Now the live center works in there, and it's its own mandrel. Let's see, need to mark this and then turn this to shape. And then this is my line right here. It's kind of hard to see, but it's right there. And then, let me see, I need to add a little bit right here. This is going to be about 2 1/4 inches in length. Normally I make a 2-inch piece right here. So I will turn this down, and this is going to be stepped down. Now on the inside of this blank, let me move this out of the way. It steps down on the inside where the first step comes down to here, and then it goes to here. So this is the we have the first step goes to 33/64, and then this is 3/8. So that's why I'm going a little bit longer. Like right here, the difference is from here, okay, from this side to this side. If I cut that right exactly where it was, I would end up just shearing this off. So I have to leave this a little bit longer before I make my transition downward, so that this part has enough meat on it to give me some stability where this gets stepped down. I hope that makes sense. And that's why I like using these templates. A lot of trial and error to get these things just right. So I don't just want to grab one of these for the sake of time and then use it, and then I'm trying to figure out what to do again. I have detailed drawings now. Before I didn't have drawings. So anyway, this is going to be turned down to 1930 seconds. 1930 seconds is the diameter of this drill bit that we are going to be using after we make our blank for the cap for the first stage, and then we will finish drilling it out with a 3/8 inch drill bit. or excuse me, not a 3/8. It is a 7/16 inch, and then, like I said, a 19/32, like that. So that should make sense. Bit confusing when you're going back and forth with all these different drill bits, interior dimensions, exterior dimensions. So it takes a lot of concentration. Okay, that's what our cap looks like, and that removes right there. So now we'll turn the body. Hey, this is Gabriel Castro. Thanks for watching my YouTube channel. You can click on the link right here and subscribe. You can watch a video series right here or the latest video right here.